California. San Francisco residents voted overwhelmingly to recall Progressive District Attorney Chesa Boudin, voter Matthew Balthazar, on what's most important to him.
Crime and obviously the women's right to choose. I don't know how much we're going to be able to make an impact on that if the Supreme Court does what it's going to do, they're saying they're going to do. But whatever we can do to reinforce a woman's right to choose is very important for me.
The Kremlin claims to be closer to its goal of capturing Ukraine's eastern industrial heartland region. Moscow says it now controls 97% of one of the two provinces that make up the Donbass region. Iran has turned off 2 UN watchdog surveillance cameras that monitored one of its atomic sites. Get ready. Here come this morning's gas prices. It's $4.95 a gallon, 28 cents higher than last week. This is AP News.
Of course, those numbers there, they just provide you with, an approximate average across the United States. $4.95 a gallon. Well, I'll tell you, we're going to the gas station right now. Now, my car Malibu on the main radio display says, taking your eyes off the road too long or often while using this system could cause a crash, resulting in injury or death to you or others. Absolutely. But again, I'm an excellent driver. Now, what could cause a death to, many people is firearms in the hands of dangerous individuals, and that's really what they're trying to do. I thank Matthew McConaughey for his work. I did not know he was from Uvalde, so he has a definite interest in the thing. And now I'm off on some kind of drive to, again, the gas station. I'll have that. I definitely will. We'll start with a tune from my phone.
Gentle true spirit, he runs, wishing he could fly high, only to trip at the sound of goodbye. Wordlessly watching, he waits by the window and wonders at the empty place inside. Heartlessly helping himself to her bad dreams, he worries, did he hear a goodbye? Or even hello? They are one person, they are two alone, they are three together, they are for each other. Stand by the stairway, you'll see something certain to tell you. Confusion has its cause. Love isn't lying, it's loose in a lady who lingers, saying she is lost and choking on hello. They are one person, they are two alone, they are three together, they are for each other.
Posted out there by Stephen McElwain on YouTube. That was Crosby, Stills, and Nash with Hopelessly Hoping, as I'm on the road in mobile mode, just waiting for whatever comes up. Oh, I love America, the band, and this country America. Now what you have here is an extended Horse with No Name, expanded intro done up by Bob, I guess is what it says on here on my display. Bob the guy in YouTube with that, and that's fantastic, Bob. I thank you.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the lights. desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain.
That's awesome. Thanks, Bob. Again, an extended version, perhaps remixed by Bob himself using the Audacity program on his computer, just like I have when I mix stuff around. That reminds me of DJ Disco Cat. Folks, if you haven't listened to DJ Disco Cat's videos, they're all out there on YouTube. Popular songs, really made even better by DJ Disco Cat by lengthening them, by basically copying, pasting, making the songs longer. You'd be surprised at the number of tunes that DJ Disco Cat has done a fine job on. Now, I'll tell you, I'm at the Gulf gas station. I'll come by with that gas price in just a moment. You're listening to The Morning Show. This is the sound of rushing water, coffee, going in my mouth. The other guy said, this is the sound of rushing water going through my brains. Okay, dude. Now, I want to make very clear about this 10cc thing. The song, 10cc, I'm Not in Love. That's the title of it, by 10cc. In this case, posted out there by Joel Gustafson. And he's the guy that does that thing with the cassette tape, makes a video. And basically the video shows a cassette tape playing. In this case, it's labeled Awesome Mix Volume Number 1. Now, Joel's I'm Not in Love is only 6 minutes long, but the version done by DJ Disco Cat is, I think, about twice that long. It's about a 12-minute song, but we'll just do the 6-minute one.
So don't forget it. It's just a silly phase I'm going through. And just because I call you up, don't get me wrong, don't think you got it made.
Tune by 10cc, you know. Now the protagonist of the song, clearly he's just lying to himself. He obviously is in love. It's one of those great songs, you know, that kind of features what he says and the opposite, you know. It's kind of cool. It's kind of like the Beatles, hello, goodbye, you know, both the hello and the goodbye. Now, I mentioned earlier, you know, I've had some rough times lately with Beatles songs. If I did a video, YouTube doesn't really care for that to be posted, so most times I'm not doing that. But this one, I'm pretty sure, this tune by 10cc, it would fly right through. Of course, ID content, the software used by YouTube, would identify the song. But they say that's fine. That's fine. As long, David, as you do not monetize the thing, then it's all good, you know. So if I did like that, it's fine. If I did a Steely Dan number, like Hey 19, then that would be fine too, I suppose.
So young and weary,
super, fantastic, So it's 7:25 now, and, moving right along with the show. Tonight on the program, I'm going to have a story about the Cardiff Giant, a famous hoax from back in the 19th century. It was just after the Civil War, and in Onondaga County, someone found a body buried in a shallow grave, and it was this 10-foot Cardiff Giant, which I featured recently on my show, A Visit to the Farmers Museum. Now, my sister C watched it, and she popped into the messaging site dedicated to myself and my 4 siblings. That's right, my sisters. She popped in and said, I never heard about that Cardiff Giant. And so I replied, yeah, very interesting story about the Cardiff Giant. And then I posted to that messenger site a story from Syracuse.com about him. Legendary circus promoter P.T. Barnum was involved in the thing. And I'll have the complete story on the Giant tonight on the program. And probably other stories as well from the world of politics, the world of entertainment, the world of what have you. It could be anything. The world of romance. I think, sure, I could talk about the heart, certainly my feelings for Faye. Now, just want to be very clear, I'm not leaving Faye. Faye is not leaving me. Thank heavens for that, And, of course, Paul Simon's here with his huge hit from back in the day, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. Could be 50, 60, 70, who knows how many there really are.
Problem is all inside your head, she said to me. The answer is easy if you take it logically. I'd like to help you with your struggle to be free. There must be 50 ways to leave your lover. She said it's really not my habit to intrude. Furthermore, I hope my meaning won't be lost or misconstrued. But I'll repeat myself. At the risk of being crude, there must be 50 ways to leave your lover. 50 ways to leave your lover. You just slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. You don't need to be coy, Roy. Just get yourself free. Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much. Just hop off the key, leave, and get yourself free. Slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. You don't need to be coy, Roy. You just listen to me. Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much. Just drop off the key, leave, and get yourself free. She said it grieves me so to see you in such pain. I wish there was something I could do to make you smile again. I said, I appreciate that. And would you please explain about the 50 ways? She said, why don't we both just sleep on it tonight? And I believe in the morning you begin to see the light. And then she kissed me, and I realized she probably was right. There must be 50 ways to leave your lover. 50 ways to leave your lover. You just slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. You don't need to be coy, Roy. Just get yourself free. Or you hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much. Just drop off the key, leave, and get yourself free. Slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. You don't need to be coy, Roy. Just listen to me. Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much. Just drop off the key and get yourself free.
Okay, Okay, next I'm going to do me and Julio down by the schoolyard. No, I'm not. I'm going back to the heartbeat of the Tri-County.
Protein vaccine as the nation's fourth coronavirus shot for adults. It's made with a more conventional technology than today's dominant Pfizer and Moderna shots and the lesser-used Johnson & Johnson option. FDA's vaccine chief, Dr. Peter Marks, said another choice in the U.S. may entice at least some vaccine holdouts, whatever their reason, to consider rolling up their sleeves.
Jennifer King reporting. I'm Rita Foley.
Good morning, 59 degrees at 7:31. Here's a look at WCDO News. New York State has started mailing out homeowner tax rebate checks earlier than originally anticipated to almost 3 million eligible New York homeowners. About $2.2 billion in one-time property tax rebates for low- and middle-income homeowners are being sent out. New Yorkers that are eligible will automatically receive a check by early July. More information available at tax.ny.gov. Delaware County Sheriff's deputies arrested 45-year-old Henry Stellato of Hamden after deputies were dispatched to a domestic dispute. Stellato, accused of barricading himself inside and not allowing family members to leave the Hamden residence back on June 2nd. He was armed with a shotgun and made threats to law enforcement. Stellato eventually put down the shotgun, exited the residence, but physically resisted being taken into custody. One special response team member was cut by a razor blade Stellato had taped between his fingers. Stellato was charged with menacing a police officer, assault, criminal possession of a weapon, obstructing governmental administration. He was arraigned and remanded to the Delaware County Jail without bail. A Delaware County Health survey is available for county residents to fill out and submit through the end of the week. Heather Warner of Delaware County Public Health explains.
Every 3 years, every health department in the state has to submit a community health assessment. So we work with the hospitals as well to compile all the data and submit it to the state and then come up with a plan on how to address some of these health issues.
The deadline to fill out the survey is this Friday. The link to the survey can be found at DelawareCountyPublicHealth.com or the Delaware County Public Health Facebook page. Governor Kathy Hochul issued a proclamation on Saturday to schedule special elections to fill vacancies in Congress in the 19th and 23rd districts. The elections will be held Tuesday, August 23rd, the same day as the New York congressional primaries. The 19th district was vacated when Antonio Delgado accepted the position of lieutenant governor, replacing Brian Benjamin, who was arrested on federal corruption charges. The 23rd district was vacated by the resignation of Tom Reed, who was accused of sexual harassment. In WCDO sports, in Major League Baseball, Yankees beat the Twins 10-4. San Diego beats the Mets 7-0. Binghamton Rumble Ponies and New Hampshire Fisher Cats rained out last night at Marabito Stadium. They'll play 2 today, starting at 5:05. NHL playoffs, Tampa Bay over the New York Rangers 4-1. That series tied up at 2 games apiece.
Okay, thank you, Rob Ray. That was fantastic. Now, I must say this about that. Rob Ray does a great job over there. Yesterday he told this amazing story. It was about a guy that went into a Chinese buffet down there in Queens, and, no pants, no underwear. It was a really great story by Rob Ray, and I was fortunate enough to catch it on the program yesterday, and it was really well done. And the guy, while he was clearly out of his mind, I mean, that's really the point of it, shouldn't do that at all. Now, basically, I'm going to move off onto something else, absolutely. And I thank him for that. Now, I did promise to give that gas price here at the Gulf gas station. That is $4.96.9, so very close to the national average that Rob Ray had talked about earlier. Tonight, also in the program, in Hardball Politics, an email reveals that the Trump campaign told fake electors in Georgia, again, these electors were not real electors, they made them up, the Republicans, to steal the election down there in Georgia. And, of course, nationally, these electors were sworn to complete secrecy, to never, ever reveal anything as to what they were doing to help Trump get 4 more years again and to bring down American democracy in a coup d'etat in our country. And I'll have that story tonight. I'm looking forward to it. Once again, we welcome Peter Gabriel to the program. From his solo career, Peter wrote this in the aftermath of leaving the band Genesis. Tells how he felt about it. got the man's heart going boom, boom, boom. I love that. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Potsy Weber with the Pump, Pump, Pump Your Blood from Happy Days. No, I'm not going to do that right now, although I have done it before. I'm going to head off to my job. I'll be back. No, back it on down, Steely Dan. Back it on down. We're not going to do it again right now. We'll do it some other time. Thank you very much. I'll be back. Okay, I'm on my lunch now. There's this guy by the name of Palladino, Carl Palladino, planning to run for Congress here in New York State. Well, he had to, or he didn't have to, but he chose to. He made a choice to take down his Facebook page. Now, why? Well, apparently, according to this post here from News 4 Buffalo, he had a bunch of conspiracy theories out there on his page, which drew some criticism. And he said he was not aware of the post, nor was he aware that, people were looking at his page, I guess. What do you mean you weren't aware? I just want to say this about that. On my Facebook page, I'm aware of what's posted there, whether I did it or someone else tagged me and put it there, and I made a choice to leave it there. Obviously, I could untag myself. If those pictures exist of me, then I left it there. For example, I know there's a picture of me out there with my brother-in-law Kay from down in PA that was taken. It was at the Boulevard Diner. That's where we took Mom out to eat on Mother's Day. Anyway, there's a picture there. My sister C, not my sister C, my sister D tagged him, and then I said, hey, why don't you go ahead and tag me as well? And so she did. She absolutely did. She made it so that she could, and I'm glad that she did. I am. Anyway, there's so many great things to talk about. Again, I'll have some stories on the program, as I mentioned earlier. I'll have the one about Phil Mickelson under the heat, and this whole thing about the Saudi Golf League. Now, someone out there, according to the New York Post, is they're calling him a Saudi stooge. I guess they could say the same things about the other players that I name dropped that have decided to join the LIV Saudi Golf League Tour. Perhaps you can call Greg Norman a Saudi stooge then if they're going to call Phil. No, I'm serious. If they're going to come after Phil with some kind of derogatory name like Saudi stooge, you could apply to all of them that go and take their clubs and go away from the PGA Tour. Now, recently, Kevin Na, he resigned his membership in the PGA Tour because he wants to play golf in the Saudi League. And, there have been some other players like Phil who are going to play in the Saudi League but have not resigned their PGA Tour membership. And I don't know if they have to or not. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. So we'll have that story, a sports story. I'll talk a little bit about last night's hockey game, sad, in which the Rangers lost down there in Tampa Bay 4-1. I'll just maybe I'll read, from the sports headlines about the Rangers again. Game 5, Madison Square Garden tomorrow night. Yes, you can, Rangers. Yes, you can. Again, if they can win these next 2 games, that would mean that the home team won every game in that series. And according to the broadcasters, it was very unusual for it to happen 4 times in a row. So far it has. Twice the Rangers won Madison Square Garden. Twice Tampa Bay won in Tampa Bay. And if the Rangers pick up the next 2, then it's off to Colorado in the Stanley Cup Finals. And sure, I get very excited about the fact. But I'll have a story, hard news about Trump and the fake electors down in Georgia. I'm sure you've heard about this thing. Yeah, they plan to basically subvert American democracy and overturn the election. Of course, Georgia, everyone knows about Brad Raffensperger and the 1-hour recording of Trump calling down there and demanding that he get the number of votes that he needed to win against Joe Biden. And Raffensperger said, I'm sorry, sir, we can't seem to find those. We don't know where they are. Folks, there were no additional votes. They were counted 3 times by Brad Raffensperger's office. Let's all give it up to Brad Raffensperger for doing the right thing. And don't forget, to Pence as well, another Republican who did his job on January 6th. Yeah, they wanted Pence to do the end around or the Green Bay sweep where they pitch the ball out to Pence and Pence takes it down into the end zone. Touchdown, Mike Pence. Another 4 years of vice presidency for Pence and 4 more years for Trump. It's the Green Bay sweep designed by Peter Navarro. Here's Ronan Keating from the motion picture Notting Hill.
It's amazing how you can speak right to my heart. Without saying a word, you can light up the dark. Trials I meet, I can never explain what I hear when you don't say a thing. The smile on your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes saying you'll never leave me. The touch of your hand says you'll catch me wherever I fall. You say it best when you say nothing at all. All day long I can hear people talking out loud. But when you hold me near, you count out the crowd. Trials in me, they can never define what's been said between your heart and mine. The smile on your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes saying you'll never leave me. The touch of your hand says you'll catch me wherever I fall. You say it best when you say nothing at all. Touch of your hand says you'll catch me wherever I fall. You say it best when you say nothing at all.
There's the guy that says it best, fine Irishman, Ronan Keating. I'll be right back. You're listening to The Morning Show.
Of Dan Seals at the age of 80. Lunchtime with the Oldies brought to you by...
All right, that is Craig Stevens with the Heartbeat of the Tri-County on WCDO doing the lunchtime show. And he just announced the passing of Dan Seal, legendary Dan Seal. Of course, great tunes. Craig was just saying they're kind of a little like Simon and Garfunkel, but still in their own right. And of course, their great tune, Summer Breeze, one of the songs of the month here, for the month of July, a couple years back, you understand. Absolutely. And, well, they're going to play Diamond Girl to honor Dan Seals in a moment, and I hope to have it here on the program. I absolutely do. Of course, was happy to have Paul Simon this morning with 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. Last Simon and Garfunkel song I think I did was Friday night. Yes, this past Friday night I was mentioning the fact that it was Dr. C's birthday. Ladies that I work with had brought him in cupcakes, and I sang the song again, Mrs. Robinson, that talks about cupcakes in the cupboard. And again, I'm not going to go back and sing it now. I'm just saying, yeah, it was either that one or I was going to go to Fire Lake, Bob Seger, and that great tune in which, your Uncle Joe, your Aunt Sarah, and indeed cupcakes and stuff like that are mentioned in Fire Lake with Bob Seger. But I'm not going to do that. Again, Diamond Girl. The next sound you hear better and ought to be Diamond Girl by Seals and Crofts. Should be.
CDO. What a great song. Diamond Girl, Seals and Crofts. I apologize before I announced that Jim Seals died, but I said Dan Seals. And what I did was confuse them with England Dan. Remember England Dan and John Ford Cole?
Sure, I remember England Dan and John Ford Cole.
England Dan was Jim Seals' younger brother. And for some reason, he actually passed away years ago. But Jim Seals passed away yesterday at the age of 80. I apologize for that
No, not at all. I made the same mistake that Craig Stevens did by saying it was Dan Seals. So that was my faux pas as well. But these things will happen. Anyway, I got to get back to my job, folks. Again, this is my lunchtime, and I hope you'll continue with me after work. Okay, I'm off of work now. It's 6:20 p.m. and basically continuing with yesterday's story about Phil Mickelson, the Saudi Golf League story. It was rather extensive. And when I mean continuing, actually literally with the background music, of course, that you recognize from the Masters. That's right, a tradition like none other. I was at the 13-minute mark of the video posted out there on YouTube by Tommy Phillips, and fine. Again, there's more than an hour of that out there. Maybe if you'd like to relax to it or something like that, or have trouble sleeping, put it on and just snooze away, you know. Absolutely. Anyway, this story written by Mark Cannizzaro for New York Post. Phil Mickelson grilled as Saudi stooge in an awkward LIV golf press conference. Now, did I see this thing? Have I heard any of the questions that were asked of Phil Mickelson about the Saudi Golf League? No, I've been busy all day doing echoes on my day job again. I did a little bit at lunch, you know, with lunchtime with the oldies, did whatever I did, and of course before work, and now with this thing. So yeah, I think this is a very important story for my listeners. I absolutely do. Okay, so Lefty on Wednesday morning, London time, met with reporters for the first time since his self-imposed exile of nearly 4 months ahead of this week's Saudi-backed LIV Golf Invitational Series inaugural tournament, which, it begins tomorrow, it's Thursday. And it was a highly awkward, uncomfortable 30-minute affair with the 51-year-old golfer grilled sharply by reporters and taking long pauses to carefully construct his answers. A central topic was the assassination of Mr. Khashoggi, the Washington Post journalist. Talked about this yesterday on. No, I was very, very forthright in my opinions about that. I said I'm not a big fan of this whole Saudi Golf League thing to begin with, and that is a particular reason, not the only human rights thing that I'm concerned of regarding the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but that was definitely the one I mentioned yesterday. I'm not going to mention it except for the fact if the writer here has written it, I'm going to read it pretty much verbatim regarding what happened at the interview, the press conference. So I definitely want to know. So the central topic was the assassination of Mr. Khashoggi by the Saudi government in 2018 and the perceived part that Phil and the other players are taking in sports washing for the Saudi government. That's an interesting word, one that I've not come upon yet, but very interesting. It's highlighted in red. I guess there's a link I could go to it. But no, I kind of get it. You know, the whole, it makes sense to me now that I think about it. Yeah, just kind of washing it over, making it all good, making them palatable to polite society. I think I kind of get that. Now, during the cringeworthy Q&A session, Phil referred to not condoning human rights violations numerous times and did his best to paint the LIV golf thing as something that can be good for the sport of golf. And one interesting moment that came out of the session was Phil, who skipped the Masters, which he's won 3 times, and the PGA Championship, which he won last year, declining to acknowledge whether or not he's been serving a ban from the PGA Tour. Has he been banned, I guess is what he's saying. Has he been banned by the PGA Tour? He last played on the PGA Tour event in January at Torrey Pines. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan has publicly threatened any players who take part in the Greg Norman-funded Saudi venture with banishment from the tour, and he declined to grant releases to any of the players competing in the LIV series. Phil said, I chose not to speak publicly on PGA Tour issues at this time. And then he said, after a pregnant pause, when asked if he's been suspended, Mickelson, though, did confirm he'll play in the U.S. Open next week at the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts, saying he's looking forward to it. He began his press conference by apologizing. I guess this is his statement. There are a lot of things that I regret, and I am sorry for the hurt that it's caused a lot of people. A contrite Phil Mickelson said, referring to his explosive comments that were published in February, in which he was highly critical of the Saudis and the PGA Tour, saying, I don't condone human rights violations at all. Nobody here does throughout the world, and I am certainly aware of what had happened with Jamal Khashoggi, and I think it's terrible. I've always seen the good that the game of golf has done throughout history, and I believe that LIV Golf is going to do a lot of good for the game as well, and I'm excited about this opportunity, and that's why I'm here. This is where some intense grilling of Phil, the 6-time major champion, began. He was asked by a reporter if he was concerned about being seen as a tool of sports washing and that he could be seen as a Saudi stooge and tarnish his legacy. And that's really what I tried to focus in on yesterday when I voiced my concerns about this whole Saudi Golf League, was the idea of legacy, And then Phil said, I said earlier, I don't condone human rights violations. I don't know how else I can be any more clear. Again, I love this game of golf. I've seen the good that it's done, and I see the opportunity for LIV Golf to do a lot of good for the world, and I'm excited to be a part of this opportunity. He was asked about his use of the word leverage when referring to using the Saudi series against the PGA Tour and the fact that he's now representing the very people you were using as leverage. Phil said, I've really enjoyed my time on the PGA Tour. I've had a lot of incredible experiences, some great memories, and I have a lot of strong opinions on what could and should be a lot better with the tour. One of the mistakes I've made is voicing those publicly, so I will really make an effort to keep those conversations behind closed doors going forward. I think that's the way to be most efficient and get the most out of it. Phil, who according to a Golf Channel report was given $200 million to play in the LIV Golf Series, was asked to clarify what he was apologizing for speaking the truth about the Saudis, or are you sorry for the shameless hypocrisy of taking their money anyway? In comments published in February by biographer Alan Shipnuck, with whom Phil said he was having a private conversation, which Mr. Shipnuck denied, he was quoted as calling the Saudis scary mother effers to be involved with and questioned the country's human rights record. I understand that many people have very strong opinions and many disagree with my decision, and I can empathize with that, Phil said Wednesday, going on to say, but at this time, this is an opportunity that gives me a chance to have the most balance in my life going forward, and I think this is going to do a lot of good for the game. Asked if he felt the good of the game can make up for the killing of Mr. Khashoggi, Mickelson said, nobody here condones human rights violations and nobody's trying to make up for anything. Addressing his break from the game and public life, Phil, who showed up in London with an uncharacteristic unshaven appearance and without any logos on his clothing after his sponsors dropped him following his previous controversial remarks, said, I've had an awesome time. I had a 4-month break from the game. It's given me time to continue some of the work and therapy that I've been working on and on some other areas I'm deficient in my life. It's given me time to reflect on what I want to do going forward, what's best for me, what's best for the people I care about. This allows me to be more present and engaged with people I care about. While a number of his peers who also signed on with LIV Golf, including 24-time winner Dustin Johnson, have resigned their membership with the PGA Tour, Phil, a lifetime member, has not done so. Players who are active for 15 years and win a minimum of 20 tournaments are given a lifetime status. I have been a part of the tour for over 30 years, said Mickelson, a 45-time winner. As a lifetime member, I am not required to play 15 events. I don't have to play any, so I don't see the reason for me to give that up. Mickelson, who's played in 12 consecutive Ryder Cups, was an assistant on Steve Stricker's winning team last year and has been in line to be a captain himself, addressed the possibility that this move to LIV could hurt his chances of being a part of those teams again. Phil said, "I'm hopeful to be a part of the Ryder Cup going forward, but that's not the reason to maintain my membership. It's because I've earned it. I believe all players should have the right to play whenever and wherever they want, which is consistent with being an independent contractor. I've had a lot of incredible memories that have been formed and experiences I've shared, tournaments I've won and lost. I also received a lot from the PGA Tour. I'm very grateful for that, for everything the PGA Tour and the game of golf has provided to me and my family. I've also worked really hard to contribute and to try to build and add value to the tour during my time there. I worked really hard to earn a lifetime exemption, and I don't want to give that up. I don't believe I should have to. I don't know what that means for the future. I don't know what's going to happen. I've earned that, and I don't plan on just giving it up." When asked about the reported $200 million contract he signed with the LIV Golf, Phil said, "I believe that contract figure should be private. Doesn't seem to be the case, but it should be." Phil also addressed speculation that his participation in LIV Golf is because he needed big money to deal with his gambling debts. He said, "I've been handling it for many years now. You're talking about something that was almost a decade ago. And look, me and my family have been financially secure for I can't remember how long, but it was certainly going to be threatened if I didn't address this, and I did. I've had hundreds of hours of therapy, and I've worked tirelessly for many years, and I feel really good about where I'm at. And yeah, I'm proud of the work I've done, so I've addressed the issue and will continue to do so for the rest of my life." And there's a story, from the New York Post, written by Mark Cannizzaro, and that's pretty much that. And that's fine. My opinion hasn't changed on the thing. I still have serious, concerns about this. To me, it's like, okay, where's this going to end? To me, it's kind of a little, what if the Chinese, for whatever, the communist Chinese with a terrible human rights record, they want to start their own golf league. Maybe the Russians want to start their own golf league. So yeah, for me, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia starting their own golf league and basically just throwing money at it, and as they say, sports washing, I still have some serious concerns about that, as many other people do. And a great story there by Mark Cannizzaro. Now, the story that I personally like best, from a telling a story thing, was indeed the story about, it was really from Gary McCord and his story about his gambling experiences with Phil. And, of course, the story about Gary McCord and the fact that CBS unceremoniously fired him, as well as his buddy Peter Costas, and they did not get a chance for closure with their golf friends and their friends at CBS. And so I was sad to hear that. And also, yes, I talked about the history of the Masters and Mr. McCord. I'm not going to do it right now. I'll be right back in a moment with a musical interlude. Now, these guys on the PGA Tour, I hope they don't think that's a part-time job. The commissioner's been very clear about the fact they can't do part-time PGA Tour, part-time the LIV golf thing. Absolutely. It requires commitment. Absolutely. It requires commitment. And it's very important that while they make a decision very clearly, that's the right decision for the good of the game, for the legacy of the game, and for honor. Absolutely. To me, the PGA Tour is the way to go. Now, is there going to be really people watching these events, or are they just kind of like, I guess they're going to be it? I don't know who's broadcasting it, what channel, what major network's going to want to get involved in the middle of this thing? I guess I'm just curious. What is it, Sky TV? I don't have the first clue. Now, I can understand the money. I mean, it's kind of a temptation. It's almost like a seductress. I mean, this LIV, they come to these players, their agents come to these players and they lay out this great presentation. They're going to get, tens of millions of dollars and stuff like this, more money than they could possibly imagine. And it's easy to just go for that easy money. Yeah, so I kind of do make, again, we welcome Phil Collins and, of course, Philip Bailey with this great tune, Easy Lover. That's really what they come to love, that money. You know, is it really all about that? All right, absolutely. There you go. Now, again, if there's any young guys out there on the PGA Tour, think very carefully about going with Liv. Think very carefully about it. In the background, this is just Weird Al. You guys, if you follow my show, you know I'm a huge fan of Weird Al. He's going to do a number for you, you know. He's going to talk about some stuff, talk about nutrition, you know, absolutely. Talk about munchie time, talking about eating it, sure. But I'm going to put him on the down low. We'll see what we have in breaking news, you know, just kind of coming over my phone. As I'm looking down, what do I see? New emails show that Trump officials worked. Let's say you got to go ... You got to open it up, and then you get Trump officials complained about separated migrant families being reunited too quickly. Yeah, they wanted the families to be apart for a long, long time. That's really probably why, you know, they were probably very upset about that. I'm not going to read that story. Again, that's a huge bummer. I want to be very clear. I was never in favor of Trump's immigration, his heartless immigration plan to separate families at the border. This was an evil scheme, and I was never in favor of that either. Absolutely. I want to be very clear about this. Ron DeSantis, I talked about him at length earlier, and I don't feel like talking about DeSantis anymore. Yes, just like the LGBTQ people who the Daily News reported didn't want anything to do with the man. He doesn't like the word gay to be said in certain places at certain times. I'll just leave it at that. How about that? And then there's another story about Trump. I'm not interested in that one. He's set to undergo questioning in a July New York civil probe. He did try to weasel his way out of providing testimony, and it didn't work. You know, believe me when I tell you, Trump and his lawyers worked very, very hard to get out of doing it, and he failed at that and many other things, including the 2020 election. Someone called Trump and let him know. You know, it's been nonsense, this whole thing. You know, to me, it's just basically a farce, this thing. Again, it's some people, they want to call it whatever. Some people call it the big lie. The fact that Trump and his most ardent supporters can't seem to get it through their thick heads that Trump lost in 2020. You got people like Mike Lindell promising a return of Trump even before the 2024 election. And, of course, all his predictions not coming to fruition. Then, of course, now there's the fight out in the far right. What do they call it? The far right megaverse now, between the MyPillow guy and the crazy conspiracy theorist guy, L. Lynn Wood, attorney at law, thrown out of his law society down there in Georgia, a believer in wild conspiracy theories like the Chief Justice, you know, was a murderer, pedophile, the man accusing the Chief Justice of the United States without any evidence at all, you know, but that doesn't bother him. He's, of course, been thrown off of all the mainstream social media networking sites, whether it's Facebook, Twitter. I think he's migrated out into Telegram, the extreme right side. As soon as they get kicked off, like Trump and Trump supporters, you know, people that have gotten kicked off of Twitter. Now, I've been very clear about the fact I'm not disparaging Twitter at all. They have a right to their policies. Now, of course, if Elon Musk buys a thing, well, then it's open door, you know, if he buys it. Basically, Musk, he's just holding out the scent of it, you know, that he might buy Twitter. He's just basically playing games for his own amusement. I hope you understand that with the money. That story was weeks ago. Sale never commenced. Everyone, Twitter's like shaking. Musk, he comes back. He's already been clear saying, I'm going to let Trump back in. I'm going to erase all the, you know, common sense policies for decorum online. It'll be like the Wild West at Twitter. And that just further, to me, confirms my belief. When I decided not to start an account at Twitter, I'm on Facebook. I got friends, you know. Now, have I ever been on eBay before? You know, yes, I have been on eBay before. Yeah, I purchased stuff, and I've been involved in the whole bidding thing. But, folks, that's been years ago. I thought they actually closed, shop at eBay. I didn't know. I thought they were done with Amazon and everything.
Are you pink bathrobe, a red snow globe, a smooth TV filled with this crap shows up in bubble wrap most every day. What I bought on eBay. Tell me why I need another pet rock. Tell me why I got that alarm clock. Tell me why I bid on Shatner's old toupee. They had it on eBay. I buy your knick-knack. Just check my feedback. A++. They all say they love me on eBay. Gonna buy a slightly damaged compact. Buy some Beanie Babies nude tags from some guy I've never met in Norway. Found him on eBay. I am the type who is liable to snipe you with 2 seconds left to go. Whoa, got PayPal or Visa, whatever will please ya, as long as I've got the dough. I'll buy your tchotchkes, sell me your watch, please. I'll buy. I'm highest bidder. Keeps arriving in the mail from that worldwide garage sale. Hazard ashtray. Oh yeah, I bought it on eBay. Wanna buy a Pac-Man Fever lunchbox? I'll buy a case of vintage tube socks. Wanna buy a Kleenex used by Dr. Dre. Put it on eBay. Wanna buy that Farrah Fawcett poster? Pen dispensers and a toaster. Don't know what the kind of stuff you throw away. I'll buy on eBay what I bought on eBay.
Thank you, Weird Al Yankovic, with that great number, eBay. I'll be right back in just a moment. Trump called down to Georgia. He was looking for an election to steal. Yeah, you got Brad Raffensperger on the phone. Someone recorded it, over an hour long, the conversation. And guess what? It's out there on YouTube. I've listened to pieces of it, very little, because it's kind of boring. A whole hour of the same thing. Trump demanding that he find the votes, just one more than the difference, the certified difference between his vote tally and Biden's. Of course, Biden won Georgia. And Mr. Raffensperger, well, he stood his ground, and you guys are aware he wrote a book about the thing and everything. And yes, I do like to give a round of applause to Brad Raffensperger. The man did his job, and he didn't, bow to the pressure that Trump was putting on him. And that's a very interesting case. Now, this one has to do with Georgia, but not about that phone call. An email shows fake Trump electors in Georgia. Yeah, they've got real electors, the ones that actually had that job to be an elector, and then they have fake ones that Trumpists made up, I guess, down there to steal the election. And of course, there's Peter Navarro and his now famous Green Bay sweep play where they were going to pitch the ball to Pence, and Pence was going to run in the end zone, score, 4 more years for Trump and Pence. Yeah. Folks, again, let's have an applause for Mike Pence as well. Mike Pence did his job, good on him, He read the Constitution, or he actually talked to a few lawyers, may have been several lawyers, and they all told him he couldn't do what Trump wanted him to do. You guys know the story. A Trump campaign staffer instructed a group of Republicans in Georgia who were planning to cast Electoral College votes for Trump to conduct the plan in complete secrecy, not to tell anyone at all. According to an email obtained by media outlets, Now, the Washington Post and CNN reported on Monday evening that the email written by Trump campaign Georgia Operations Director Robert Sinners, that's a nice name, Sinners, for what he's trying to do. Basically, he's basically trying to subvert American democracy. Robert, shame on you. Absolutely. So he instructed the fake electors to tell security at the state capitol that they had appointments with 2 state senators. And then Sinners says, I must ask for your complete discretion in this process. Naturally, God forbid anyone found out what Sinners was doing. If they had found out what he was trying to do, this conspiracy to overturn American democracy, I'm sure he'd be in big trouble, down there in Georgia. Anyway, he goes on to say, your duties are imperative to ensure the end result, a win in Georgia for President Trump, but will be hampered unless we have complete secrecy and discretion, Mr. Sinners wrote. Now, the Post reported that the email was sent on December the 13th, 2020, and instructed the electors not to mention anything to do with presidential electors or to speak to the media at all. I mean, mum's the word, let's keep it silent, obviously. Now, The Hill has reached out to a representative for Trump and to the former president's campaign for comment. Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco said in January that the Department of Justice was investigating fake electors who supported Trump. Fake documents were sent to the National Archives. Okay, so we've got fake electors for Trump, and fake documents were sent to the National Archives in December, alleging electors for the Electoral College supported Trump in 7 states that President Biden had won. These people, on the extreme right, they'll stop at nothing. There's no dirty trick that they won't use. Absolutely. And of course, this thing's been litigated to the nth degree, where the exponent is really high. It's been litigated in more than 60 battleground states all across our fine land, and Trump loses every single time. So they have plan B, plan C. Of course, they had this stupid Green Bay sweep plan. They got a bunch of plans, all of them huge failures, for Trump and his team. People from Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, New Mexico, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin have since been subpoenaed to appear before the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th failed insurrection. Let's just hope that they actually, comply with the committee, unlike Peter Navarro, who you're aware was arrested and taken into custody because he would not cooperate with the law. He would not cooperate with the law. Therefore, he was arrested. And then he started whining immediately about it. Oh, it's prosecutorial misconduct upon me. Look at poor me. The planner of the Green Bay sweep is give me a break, Peter Navarro. Guy's probably going to go to jail. Probably. Maybe he'll just get a light slap on the wrist for conceiving this plan to subvert American democracy. Who knows? I've been listening to these cases, more than 800 people arrested for the failed insurrection on January 6, 2021. Now, the January 6th committee, doing a fine job, is likely to highlight, naturally, the newly uncovered email by a former Trump campaign staffer, Sinners, to fake electors during a primetime hearing on Thursday, the Post noted. That's tomorrow night. That's primetime viewing. Of course, the trouble is they might be going head-to-head with my hockey game, as I mentioned earlier. Go Rangers against Tampa Bay at the Garden tomorrow night. Yes, you can, Rangers. Yes, you can. Now, Mr. Sinners said in a statement that he was working on behalf of senior campaign officials and senior Republicans in the state and was advised by attorneys that this was necessary in order to preserve the pending legal challenge. According to the Post, it wasn't necessary at all. Now, this guy, Sinners, he's now claiming that he's just a little guy following orders. It's the old following orders excuse, How many times have we heard that down through history? Lots of times. Attorneys for Trump had for months after the 2020 election embarked on an ineffective legal campaign across the country in an attempt to overturn Biden's victory which, as you're aware, ultimately failed. I mean, I hope everyone's aware of this factoid. Now, Mr. Sinners now works for Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, who recently fended off a Trump-backed primary challenge. Yes, he won his election. Talked about this, and should we give him another round of applause, Brad Raffensperger? Again, in that whole audio tape, basically prima facie proof of, well, some shady dealings, with Trump and stuff like that. I mean, to me, there's definitely lawless activity going on out here, as represented by this great article. So, what else is here? Raffensperger, what does he say? He won his election, and he added that his views on the matter have changed significantly from where they were on December the 13th. So he had some kind of epiphany or something like that. He has changed his opinion, whatever. Anyway, that's a fine story, and that I would top off, all these people, and they're making excuses and stuff like that. And then this guy, Sinners, making up fakes, electors. I don't know. To me, no, I'm not going to, I have to put these guys on the down low. James Taylor and J.D. Souther with Her Town, too. Yeah, it got blocked the other day. I joined them in the singing of it, absolutely. Now, what I was going to do was talk a little bit about a song that, it was done by Seals and Croft. And as mentioned earlier today, Mr. Seals has passed away at the age of 80. That came up on Lunchtime with the Oldies. And from my songboard sing, it was July of 2020 that Summer Breeze was the winner. And I suppose it's close enough to summer right now to do it, Summer's just around the corner. And so I'm doing that right now. I'm basically trying to launch the YouTube video from my songboard sing, and from that page that talks about the winners of all the months from back around April of 2020.
See the curtains hanging in the window in the evening on a Friday night. Little light is shining through the window, lets me know everything's alright. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. See the paper laying on the sidewalk, a little music from the house next door. So I walked on up to the doorstep, through the screen and across the floor. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Sweet days of summer, the jasmine's in bloom. July is dressed up and playing her tune, and I come home from a hard day's work, and you're waiting there. I can't go on. See the smell of rain in the kitchen, food cooking in the pans for two. Feel the arms that reach out to hold me in the evening when the day is through.
All right, Seals and Crafts with Summer Breeze. I'll be back with a hit by Elton in just a moment. All right, 7:25 p.m. And this is Sir Elton John, as posted out there on YouTube by Piffle Creek.
I can't lie, no more of your darkness. All my pictures seem to fade to black and white. I'm growing tired, and time stands still before me. Frozen here on the ladder of my life. Too late to save myself from falling. I took a chance and changed you in your life. But you misread my meaning when I met you. Close the door and left me blind. My life. Don't let the sun go down on me. Although I search
Sir Elton John with Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. And that'll do it for the program today. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you join me again tomorrow on The Morning Show.